So I can call the meeting to order. And I would ask everyone if they would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could have a roll call of the board members, please.
Don Delaney.
Here.
Amy Litcher.
Here.
Andrew Palmer.
Here.
David Radel.
Here.
Robert Timperio.
Here. All members are present. The next item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any revisions to the agenda to be considered? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion for approval of the agenda as printed.
I move the board approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. We can move on then to the first group of items, which are board reports. Is our student representative available? Ms. Mendoza?
She said she was going to join virtually. I don't know. I talked to her this morning.
Oh, well, maybe we can come back to her if she's having trouble getting on or a little bit late.
Okay, sounds good. The next would be Mr. Radel. Do we have some correspondence?
Yeah, we received a thank you note from the family of Mark Ward, a custodian here at the high school, for what we sent. His mother passed and we sent a gift, so.
Okay, thank you. The next up would be administrative reports. And before we begin, I would just like to extend the gratitude of the board for our administrators for all the hard work that they have done this school year and even more recently as things seem to get pretty hectic from time to time, and it's very much appreciated. It is certainly something that several years ago none of us thought about this at all. So thank you very much. And Ms. Thompson, you have an update.
Thank you. Just an update on how things are going at the elementary school. Now that we're into our second semester, for better or for worse, things seem to be feeling quite normal with the mitigation strategies that we've been using. We've gotten into a habit of making sure we're using hand sanitizer, trying to keep our distance with 6 feet apart, and the regular use of wearing masks throughout the day. The kids have been doing great, and I think our mitigation strategies are proving to be effective. We have had a very low number of incidences happening since our return from winter break, so things are going really well at the elementary school. As far as our virtual learning is going, we do have on April 5th, students are able to switch from virtual to in-person, and so we do have quite a list at this point of students that will be returning. At this point, we have about 24 at the elementary school that will be returning to in-person. So we are making some adjustments, finding some more tables and spots for our students to be. Some of the noteworthy sizes in kindergarten, we'll have 10 students remaining in virtual. Second grade and fourth grade, we have 16 students remaining virtual, and then in first and third, around 20 in each of those classrooms. So 98 virtual students altogether. This is probably our biggest switch that we've had so far over the course of the school year. Any questions?
Well, thank you very much. Mr. Vogel, high school principal.
Hi, hello everyone. It's been a while. It's nice to see you. I would say the COVID here at the LMHS has been going pretty well. We've been in a kind of a groove and a great deal of consistency since really fall and the start of school. And I have to thank my teachers and the students for that. I think as far as a safety issue, I think we've done a pretty good job here at the high school due to the mitigation strategies that we have in place. We haven't seen a COVID spread from within the building. So again, we have our positive tests at times, and from our investigations, that has all been taking place out of the building. And then we have to implement the close contact protocol, but that's definitely kind of dying down, kind of knock on wood. Hopefully it doesn't come back, but we do have our positive tests occasionally. I think that consistency is key. I think that consistency is what our families are looking for, and I think we provided that for our families, again, since the start of the school year. I do have another special thank you, not only to our teachers, but to our counselors. Each quarter, we give families an opportunity to pick their learning style, and we kind of have really 4 basically: blended in-person, Jedi full-time, and then full-time virtual that students can choose from. Our third quarter numbers for this past quarter, we had 104 students blended, 236 full-time in person, 5 Jedi full-time, and then we had 142 students full-time virtual. So I think we'll see a slight uptick in numbers of students who come back face-to-face, and we are looking forward to those students coming back in the building. We do have an announcement that we've sent out to the families. Fourth quarter changes need to be in by next Monday, March 15th. I think another couple success stories from this COVID year for us is that teachers definitely had many more virtual technology skills in their toolbox. They were forced to this year, and I think that's going to help us in the future, not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom as well. And I have to tell you that I've been doing a lot of observations in the last 6 to 8 weeks, and there's really good instruction going on in the classroom every day here at the high school. And it's a lot of it is synchronous, meaning that it's virtual students and in-person students at the same time. And that's not easy to do. And it's something that I think has taken a while here at the high school. And I invite you to come in and take a peek at what's going on in the classroom, because there's good stuff going on. Another success story is that we were able to provide a lot of clubs, extracurriculars, athletics, forensics. We have a spring play variation going on right now that we're working on, and that we've also offered face-to-face band second quarter, and we plan to do that again fourth quarter. So it's not a normal year. We're doing the best, and but there's no doubt when I say that our staff and students, and I think our whole high school community, is looking forward to normalcy, hopefully sometime in the future. I think another success story was our parent-teacher conferences were attended in a virtual manner, and that attendance was very high, especially in the fall. And then the strength of our technology department, I think here at the high school, supporting staff and students in the building and outside of the building, they've been fantastic. So changes, there's really no changes for us for fourth quarter. Again, providing that consistency for students, and I think our students and staff are doing okay. But again, I think that whatever that day comes of normalcy, we're looking forward to that.
I just have one quick question, and you may not know the answer, but if you could follow up. Of those students who are virtual, do you know the class breakdown?
I do not, but majority of them are upperclassmen.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you very much. And
can I give Mr. Imperial, can I give one more shout out? I forgot something.
Okay.
I just want to give one shout out to Renee Mitchell and Lindy Oates for becoming ACT certified educators. They spent a lot of the time on their own time taking a course that we provided for them, and they passed their exam. So just give a little shout out to them. I'm done.
Okay. Mr. Grundall, how are things at the middle school?
The middle school, we keep moving along. Things are going great at the middle school. We've gone through some teacher things over the last month, but our teachers are doing super amazing jobs in the classroom, super flexible, willing to pick up the slack when we had some staff members out in this last year or last month. This whole year is all about relationships for our kids and our teachers being the cohort model. We're seeing a lot of great relationship building going on with our teachers, with our students. We're also seeing students connect with students they've never connected with before, and you wouldn't see that unless we're in this model. Our teams are strong. We're meeting in PLCs. We're working together for the kids. They're doing an amazing job bringing up great questions with all student learning at the very basis of their conversations. Our discipline issues are down in the middle school. We don't have very many, maybe one a day, but really, really minor as we go through. If we look at our mitigation in third quarter, we kind of opened up our electives. So students are traveling to their elective courses, tech ed, band lessons. We have ensembles with band opening up here this week and last week for grade levels. So we're seeing a little bit more movement of our students. Our students spread of COVID. We do, like the high school, get a couple cases, but we go through our protocols and quarantine our cohorts. And we haven't seen any spread between students in the building. So that was a big positive for us. Other things, we're looking at about 15 students coming back in person for a fourth quarter. Our date is March 22nd, so parents have to notify us by March 22nd of whether or not they want to come back in person. And right now we have 15 students on there. That'll bring our virtual students number down to around 90 students that are going to be virtual, with our 8th grade class being around 40 and then about 20 in 7th. Our 5th grade class, I think, is almost into the down into the teens of virtual students. And big kudos out to our teachers. I mean, super flexible this year, handling the virtual and the in-person, and being able to be in a cohort model with students on a daily basis and develop those relationships with those kids. Been very impressed by everyone there. I don't have anything else on the middle school. Any questions?
Well, okay. Did you want to comment on the summer school at all?
Yeah, summer school. So summer school, we're planning for a regular, normal-ish type of summer school with our COVID procedures in place. Students will get to choose 4 courses in each session to participate in. Our booklets, our summer school booklets, will be going out next week on the 15th. We're going to be publishing the booklets of all the courses. Some highlights out of that we're really excited about is we're bringing in Camp Invention, which is a nationally renowned program, a STEM program that will run in the afternoons of session 1. We're also looking at we are going to bring in grade level literacy and math curriculum components for our students. And our registration date is going to be April 5th. So right when we get back from spring break, we are going to open up our registration for students to sign up for summer school classes. So we're excited to get that ball rolling. Big thank you to Julie Mashi in all our help as the summer school secretary.
Sounds like we got some good options. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Grundall? Otherwise, thank you very much. Appreciate seeing you as well.
Thank you.
Okay, the next would be Ms. Brockert.
Good evening. My shout out tonight is for, this week is National School Breakfast Week. And I think we all agree that breakfast is an important part of a student's day. And so we really encourage participation. At our elementary school and middle school, we do breakfast in the classroom. And so we've been going right to because of COVID, we redid some things, but we are going right to the classroom to deliver the breakfast meals in the morning. And then at the high school, we started 2 options, and we appreciate Kale's flexibility because our participation was not very high. We were doing it right away in the morning when the kids came to school, but now we also added a time between first and second block. We have some staff in 2 different hallways, and students can just grab a breakfast and go to their class with it, and they can eat the food later. It's something that works out really well. I was going to say something else, but I forgot, so I apologize. But really appreciate our food service staff and all they do in trying to make sure there's a good breakfast for our students. And again, because of the COVID, the breakfast is free for our students this year, and we'll be doing it through June 30th.
Any questions? Again, thank you very much. And Dr. Olson.
All right. The posting for the elementary position did close on Friday, and we did receive a large number of applicants. So the administrative team is currently reviewing all of those applications, and we will be meeting together on Wednesday to look at the matrix of our ratings for that, and then we will conduct phone screenings this Friday already. So it's going to be a quick turnaround. We really had wanted to see if we could get this person hired before spring break, so that we wouldn't drag that out over that. Otherwise, we get a little bit late into the hiring season here for administrators. So we expect to have a recommendation for the board by the end of March. I have been meeting with the elementary staff, and we did include a couple of more teachers on the interview team. So we now have a representative from each one of the grade levels, and including intervention and special ed. So I think we're in pretty good shape there as far as hearing teacher voice as part of the input into that process as well. The goal then is to conduct a final round of interviews during the school day on a Friday afternoon in front of the entire staff. That way all of the staff gets to have some familiarity with those finalists, which I think is important when you're hiring a new principal. So I think at this point we're in really good shape. We've got a lot of great candidates to choose from. It's just due to the fact that we had so many applicants for this position. Moving on to the vaccinations for staff. I've been trying to update staff constantly. Every time I think we have a little bit of a plan in place, Jefferson County never ceases to amaze us, and actually ends up doing going above and beyond for the school districts here in the county. So we were fully expecting to only have 8 spots for vaccinations this week. And we got a call from Sumrose, our epidemiologist, on Sunday morning. And he said that they had quite a few appointments. And so we were able to open that up to the remainder of the staff that needed vaccinations. We did that Sunday afternoon. And I know all those appointments are now full. I don't have a good handle from our staff if the extra people that were waiting were all able to get an appointment. We'll check in with them throughout this week. However, the county will be doing one more vaccination clinic next Wednesday. So for sure by next Wednesday, any staff member that wanted to get a vaccination should have had the opportunity to get a vaccination. So that's really good news for us. And you know, if you watch the news, I think we're ahead of the curve compared to most school districts in the state. So feeling very fortunate about that. And then lastly, due to our staff being able to get vaccinated, and like the principals noted, we have not seen the spread when we have had to quarantine, especially at the elementary and middle school when we're quarantining a whole cohort. I'm asking the board to make a revision to the pandemic plan. So we're actually going back to the CDC recommendations of just quarantining close contacts, which would be any student or adult within a 6-foot radius for more than 15 minutes. As you may remember, we have been quarantining a whole cohort or a whole classroom at the elementary and middle school level. Some of that had to do with staffing and availability of subs. We also were being overly cautious because students were eating in the classrooms. They were taking off their face masks to do that. We didn't know how that was going to affect the spread. We have not seen evidence of that at all. So we really, definitely don't want to over quarantine students, especially at the elementary level. We understand that that is a hardship on parents. So we will be just looking specifically at that 6-foot radius for 15 minutes or more. Once staff are 2 weeks past their second dose of the vaccine, we do not need to quarantine them for 3 months. So there is I'd say about half of our staff right now are in that situation. So that helps us as well. And we've not been seeing as many positive cases in the recent weeks either. So feel pretty confident with that recommendation. Just on a side note, I know there's new CDC language that had come out today regarding, vaccination and not having to wear face masks. We're still, because a good portion of our staff will not get the second dose until closer to like April 7th. We're not quite at that point to make any kind of wide sweeping changes as far as going away from face masks and things like that. However, we are watching what's going on with mask mandate and with the latest CDC changes. So if something would warrant that change, I would definitely bring that back to the board for consideration. And that's all I have. I guess a shout out to the principals who are giving shout outs to their staff. I wouldn't have been able to do what I've done this year without this admin team that's in front of us. They're just an incredible group of people who have really led their buildings just really strongly and have put all of these measures in place. It definitely makes my job a lot easier. So I just appreciate them every day and all the work that they're doing with their staff.
Dr. Olson, I have one quick question as far as the board approval of the new elementary principal. Will our April meeting be timely, or will you need something sooner than that?
I think our April meeting should be timely. Just looking ahead, because that meeting is on the 12th and we've got spring break in there, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. If something should change, I can let you know, but I think we'll be okay with April 12th.
Thank you. Any other questions? Then we'll move to the next item. Do we have anyone who has indicated an interest in addressing the board for community input?
No, we do not.
Okay, then we can move to the consent agenda. And this evening, the consent agenda includes the approval of our February 8th regular meeting minutes, our February 8th Finance Committee proceedings, our February 25th Facilities Committee proceedings, approval of the March 1st special meeting minutes, approval of vouchers and invoices, approval of the treasurer's report, approval of the personnel report. And so at this point, is there any item on that agenda that a board member would like to discuss separately? If so, please indicate. Then I would entertain a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
I move the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, may we please have a A roll call for the vote, please.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher. Aye. Andrew Palmer,
Aye.
David Radel,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Just lost it. Okay, action items. First is approval to the revision of the Lcat pandemic plan, which Dr. Olson briefly described in her report. So I would entertain a motion for its approval.
I move the board approve the revisions to the Lcat pandemic plan as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions about the motion? Hearing none, can we please have a roll call vote?
Amy Litcher. Aye. Andrew Palmer.
Aye.
David Radel,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, the next is approval of the early college credits. And we have an attachment with a number of our students who are requesting at various post-secondary institutions or one post-secondary institution. Motion for its approval.
I move the board approve the early college credit courses as presented for the first semester of the 2021-2022 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? Hearing none. Ms. Larry, a roll call vote, please.
Andrew Palmer,
Aye.
David Radel,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher. Aye. Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. It's a great word. The next is approval of the music trip for the 2021-22 school year. I don't know if there's any intro to that.
I could say, I know, we've had many school trips canceled, last spring and even going into this school year. So, and you can read their request, they are proceeding very cautiously. And so we're also going in and just looking at, travel insurance, costs that parents might not be refunded. But this trip, as you can see, is definitely a lot more of a cautious trip than going down to Florida and Disney World, because even next year at this time, we don't know what the state, of the world will be in. So I think they felt like this was kind of a happy medium that we can, be a little bit closer to home, not as expensive, and be able to maybe make some changes if we need to make those changes. I think you'll see a couple of other trips after this where same thing, we're really being cautious on not doing, international travel or things like that, but just keeping a little bit more closer to home. So.
Great, thanks. Can we have a motion to approve the trip?
I move the board approve the music trip from March 24th through the 29th of 2022 as presented. It is understood that the board will incur no cost and will accept no liability for any funds lost for any reason.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments?
I would just comment that I think the safety precautions that the folks at Disney have put together have been widely accepted, and if the group should see it so fit to change their mind, I would also offer to welcome the opportunity to listen to that discussion as well.
Thanks.
And the motion is on the table, so may we have a roll call vote, please?
David Radel,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher. Aye. Andrew Palmer,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. Motion carries. Let's hope that they're able to carry through on that. Nashville would be a pretty pretty interesting place to visit.
Yes.
Okay, we have some gifts. And again, we have some very generous people in the community. So I'd entertain a motion for accepting those gifts.
I move the board accept the following gifts and thank the generous donors for the continued support of the students and programs of the Lake Mills Area School District. A $200 anonymous donation for high school seniors graduation gowns and caps. A $500 anonymous donation to the mill, a donation of $530 in memory of Luann Ward to the high school's athletic department, and a donation of $664 from Lake Mills Culver Scooping Night event to the Lake Mills High School FFA.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And again, we really have a lot of support in our community. So I ask for a roll call vote, please.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher,
Aye.
Andrew Palmer,
Aye.
David Radel,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye, motion carries. Upcoming board agenda items.
Well, next month, we have one of our board members that will be their last meeting. So we definitely want to recognize Dave Radel and his years of service to the board. And so that will be a special meeting for us. I shouldn't say a special meeting, but something that we really need to recognize all the hard work that he's given to the school district. We have a few policies hanging out there, 5 or 6 that we had pulled from the last set of approvals, just because they took a little bit more time to look into, and I had to meet with some other people before we brought those to the policy committee. So we will be bringing the first reading of those policies to the board. We will be bringing a proposal for the new elementary principal, and really just start working through the end of the year with what we've done with architectural services and possible CM services. So and continued work on the budget as well.
Okay. Now the next item would be to entertain a motion to move to an executive session. Can we please have a motion for that?
I move the board adjourn to executive session under the Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85, paren 1, paren B, paren C, paren F, and 118.22, paren 2, paren 3, for the purpose of considering administrative contracts, retirement benefits, and a notice of preliminary non-renewal of a teacher.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? And a roll call vote, please.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy
Sorry.
Litcher,
Aye.
Andrew Palmer,
Aye.
David Radel,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. Motion carries. Electronically, we shall meet again.
That's it. Okay. Oh, yeah.
May we entertain a motion to approve the administrative contract for Tasha Naylor?
I move the board approve an administrative contract to Ms. Tasha Naylor, our Director of Business Services, beginning July 1, 2021.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We got to roll call it.
We need a roll call. I'm sorry. I get ahead of myself.
That's okay.
Do you want me to do the roll call?
Yes.
Okay, Andrew Palmer,
Aye.
Dave Radel,
Aye.
Amy Litcher,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we can do a voice vote on the adjournment. So
I'll move. Jared, who wants to second?
I'll second it.
All right, beautiful.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, everyone. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yay. Motion carries. Another success.
Yep.